In the last month or so, I have experienced something in ranked play and regular Warzone now that I feel is cause for alarm. I feel as though Ricochet anti-cheat, although we already know that it's not exactly working, is in fact compromised, and I've seen some evidence to suggest that things are far worse than anybody realizes. Now, there's a lot going on in this video, and there's a lot you're going to have to pay attention to, so lock in, make sure you're subscribed, drop a like, and let me explain how things possibly could be going from bad to worse. For those of you who haven't played Warzone rank play, good for you and good on your mental health. And for those of you who have, let me paint you a picture that probably sounds very familiar. From bronze to pretty much platinum, it's a great experience, you're going to have lots of fun, and it's going to feel pretty competitive. But from about platinum 2 to 3 onwards, it's essentially an unplayable mess. From that point onwards, you are guaranteed at least one cheater a game, possibly an entire team of cheaters, at the bare minimum 2 to 3 cheaters a game. It's a write-off. The second you hit Platinum 3, the second you're in that elo of bracket where you're starting to break into Diamond and Crimson, it is pretty much a certainty that you're going to have cheaters in your game. And crazily, you will have entire teams of cheaters working together, sometimes 6 players to 9 players working in a group. 6 of those players will be cheating and the other 3 are being boosted, or 4 of them will be cheating and 2 of them are being boosted. And the idea is that the 4 illegitimate accounts boost the guys who are trying to get into the top 250, and they just cheat for them. And then they win every game, they get all the SR gains, they keep killing each other as well to boost their elimination SR, and the cycle of madness goes on and on. And this is a result of there being no ranked restrictions for matchmaking. Any account of any rank can play with any other rank, and it will just give a rough average in terms of skill-based. So the entire thing is a total mess, and in fact, it almost makes CS ranked play look legitimate by comparison. Warzone ranked play is a disaster, and you shouldn't touch it until they somehow clean up their act. But during that experience, I was actually stream sniped by somebody who was actively admitting to cheating. They clearly were. They were ultimately aimbotting, ultimately wall hacking, and they did not care about letting me know about it. And they said at the time that they didn't care if I reported them because reports do nothing and that their account would not be able to be banned. And at the time, I thought, this guy's just saying something to get under my skin. He's saying something just to annoy me and just because he's cheating, which, by the way, I don't think it has to go without saying. Come on, bro, like if you're cheating in a video game, you got better things to do. But ultimately, it warranted a raised eyebrow. And then I started seeing clips cropping up online of people being banned from Warzone who just kept on playing. Guys whose accounts were reported, clearly disconnected from the match, although the Ricochet icon doesn't necessarily show in the feed anymore, booted from the game after a series of reports, and just carry on. Now, in the past 2 months or so, I have been shadow banned and unable to play the game because I've seen what happens when you do get shadow banned and put into that loop, and the game decided, yep, this guy's won too many matches, adios. But some people seemingly can just keep going. They can keep matchmaking, it doesn't matter what they have, and it doesn't matter how the system works, they can just keep playing. And I thought, okay, well look, I'm not going to believe this stuff, it could just be a load of nonsense, until I saw it happen to us in real time. Until I witnessed this exact phenomenon occur in 4K. Now, we're playing a game of quads, and the footage you're seeing in the background is what we're talking about here. And there's a team of cheaters. All 4 of them actively cheating, or at least 2 to 3 of them at the bare minimum, and they were going pretty blatant with it. We're not talking about guys who are on the edge, we're talking about guys who are clearly aimbotting, clearly don't care, happy to see if their account gets banned, and just simply will load up another account if something goes wrong. And as we're spectating these guys and clearly reporting them for, the obvious, and the game, any anti-cheat really, with basic statistical analysis would realize that these guys are dodgy, they get booted. They get disconnected from the game, and it's clear that their time is up. It's clear that Ricochet has caught on, taken them out of the game, and they've either been thrown into the shadow ban loop or permanently banned. Or at least that's what we thought happened. Because in the exact next game, the exact same accounts who had clearly been booted from the game before. They didn't quit, by the way. They didn't up and leave because we continued to watch them for a game or 2 onwards, and they just never left the match. They left once they had won the game. They got booted and went straight back in. The same accounts, the same hashtags, the same digits, the exact same numbers, the exact same people who clearly were booted from one game, continuing to play in the next game. And proceeded, obviously, to ruin our second match. They carried on, They continued to cheat, we continued to be killed, and nothing changed. And the concern here is starting to arise that something in Ricochet is compromised. That cheaters have accounts or have the ability to basically be impervious to bans, and that whatever backend system they're using to monitor this, whatever backend system they're using to make sure that these accounts can't access the servers is either not working correctly as intended, or somebody has found a way to get around it. Now, there will be some people like, nah, that can't happen, that's never going to happen. Well, Ricochet's been compromised before. For those of you who are unaware, Bobby Puff, a streamer, was banned by Ricochet permanently, and it was found that the reason he was banned is because cheaters were sending keywords like cheat provider names through text chat into his game client, and when the anti-cheat scanned itself, it would see that in the text chat and assume it was part of the file, and then ban the player responsible. A false ban that happened to potentially thousands of different players. All you had to do was write the name of a popular cheat provider in the game text chat, and potentially anybody whose game self-scanned itself and saw that information would ban itself. We're talking about a compromise that was so inherently bad, Activision actually had to come out and say, yeah, something went wrong, and they don't normally do that. So we seem to be in a system here where cheaters appear to be impervious for bans. It seems to be that these accounts that have been booted from the game carry on playing as though nothing's gone wrong, as though they haven't been ricocheted. Meanwhile, legitimate players like myself have found ourselves being shadow banned. I'm playing ranked, I won a couple of games, and I couldn't play the game onwards because I got shadowed. But guys who are actively using cheats, and guys who are continuing to ruin the game, just kept playing and just kept going. And there are a couple of other warning signs, and this is a really big one from a streamer called Fixate that I feel shows that something is fundamentally wrong. Now, just to clarify, Fixate is a DMZ streamer, I've streamed with him lots, I've played with him loads, and I love the guy to pieces, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying this. Fixate is not a phenomenal player. He is a good player, and a player who has a high potential ceiling, but he is not like the kind of guy who's going to kill somebody and you're going to be suspective of them. He's just an average dude who enjoyed some DMZ, enjoyed some zombies, and plays like you guys. And Fixate found himself in a loop where the game told him that his account had been permanently banned. So the game had told him that his account was inaccessible, and Fix doesn't have streamer mode, he doesn't have any privileges in the game that potentially could override any of these systems. He's just an average account that was told that he was permanently banned. And essentially, the way that he got around this was OF4ing his game every time the notification came up, and when he got back onto the game, he could continue to play.
We may or may not have gotten shadow banned yesterday. And then you're going to say, oh, how is that possible? And the more you look at it, you're going to realize that it doesn't make any sense at all. And I have some new information that I think is going to make you laugh a little bit. Okay. So, yesterday, we got the Trailblazer skin. And I was chilling, all right? And someone was like, try the growl. So I was like, okay, I'll try the growl. So this is the growl right here. There's no way that this is happening again. You're seeing it live. My game is legitimately bugged. Watch, when I say retry here, it's going to say you're temporarily banned. Watch. See? By the way.
How was I you, dude?
Okay.
Oh no. I just got shadow banned.
I just knew right away it was too late to read, like, whatever, right? Watch. Same exact error is going to pop up right here. This is from yesterday morning.
Guarantee it, dude.
Yep. Temporarily banned from playing Call of Duty Black Ops 6 servers. Okay. It's so weird. I've never seen this before. The difference between yesterday and, like, last night is that I didn't check the website. When I saw the pop-up that said you were temporarily banned, I just assumed I was shadow banned yesterday during the stream. I didn't actually go check the COD website, which makes me believe that if I had, it would have said no bans detected then. Okay. Sorry, Sparty's talking to me. I joined Sparty.
Now, naturally, I don't think Fixate was legitimately banned. Something very obviously has gone wrong there. But the fact that he was able to just carry on, even though in basic principle, if his account was banned, it was definitely permanently banned. He shouldn't be allowed to connect to the servers at all. Shows that there is something not quite right going on. You know, we're talking about an account that hypothetically should not be able to engage with the game at all in any way, shape, or form. And all he had to do to get around this system was close out his game and restart it. And it would let him straight back in, let him continue to play. And thankfully, Fixate isn't a cheater and he isn't a player of concern. But the fact that this happened means that it could be happening for people who are cheaters and are people of concern. And again, just to reiterate, Fixate, definitely not a streamer who's cheating. You can 100% go and watch thousands upon thousands of hours of his content, which is available on his channel, and you can very clearly see for himself that he's just an average dude like you or me who's enjoying the game. And the fact that this is a loophole and the fact that this is something that could occur is already waving 75,000 red flags at me, let alone before we mention the fact that accounts are continuing to play. So I feel like we've reached a point now with Ricochet where something is not quite right. I'm seeing repeated examples now of accounts that have clearly been ricocheted, clearly been attempted to be shadowed, clearly attempted to be banned, continuing to play the game with zero concern. And I've also seen a massive uptick in cheaters, and the reality is, I've reported a lot of these guys. Some of them are very blatant. We had a guy today, for example, clearly rage hacking, and I'm seeing no notifications coming through that these guys have been permanently banned from the game. I feel like something here is very off, and I feel like it would explain a lot if people who are actively cheating in the game have accounts or have found ways to be impervious to a ban system, because at the bare minimum, you normally expect an active anti-cheat to cycle these accounts so that they constantly have to change and it becomes more of a headache, and maybe they stop trying because it becomes so much of a headache. But what we're seeing right now is people just carrying on, people doing whatever they please in the game for as long as they want, with zero repercussions, and if they get some repercussions, they can seemingly carry on over. There is something not quite right here. There is something that is definitely not in the right stratosphere of things. There is something that is amiss about how Ricochet is operating. And it's becoming quite painstakingly clear to me, based on the Season 4 update, where even changing your character customization for a parachute would crash the game, and the fact that people are just diving through it in terms of anti-cheat like it's a piece of butter, that this engine is over. It's completely chalked. It is going to probably take Call of Duty, building Call of Duty from the ground up again on a brand new engine, or using something like Unreal Engine with an anti-cheat made from scratch again to get this done. Because we're talking about some serious issues here. Not only is the game basically broken every time they decide to update it, which they now had to move to 70 days in order to avoid breaking it too frequently, but we're also talking about a game that the second something positive happens for anti-cheat, something seemingly goes wrong. Now, there will be some people who don't believe me. There are going to be some people who just dismiss this, but I honestly think this is something that warrants some investigation, something that warrants Call of Duty getting some eyes on it, because the fact that I've seen accounts actively continue to play the game, despite being booted clearly by their own anti-cheat, is something that I feel is hugely a cause for alarm, and something that doesn't bode well for Call of Duty at this moment in time. I'm interested to hear your experiences in the comment section down below. Let me know your thoughts and feelings. Drop a like, drop a subscribe, and I'll see you again in the next one.